Hi ha unes normatives que penso que a vegades es podrien donar facultats per flexibilitzar. I si us colarà algú, perquè per la seguretat
Oh yeah, I'm just taking a picture. Gracias.
Sí.
Green button. You can adjust the volume using the buttons with the loudspeaker symbols.
The model in front of you is a representation of the finished basilica. While you are looking at it, you may listen to a few words of welcome from Mr. Esteve Camps, Deputy Chairman of the Construction Board of the expiatory temple of the Sagrada Familia, on behalf of its developers. When you're ready, press 2.
Benvingut a la Basílica de la Sagrada Família. El temple va iniciar
Welcome to the Basilica of la Sagrada Familia. Construction of the church began in 1882, thanks to Josep Urquinaona, a bookseller from Barcelona. He, together with a group of devoted followers of Saint Joseph, founded the Association of the Devotees of Saint Joseph. This organization raised funds to begin building the church we have today. Despite the many hurdles that have affected the pace of construction over the years, we're now able to enjoy this jewel of architecture, sculpture, and religious art known as the Expiatory Church of la Sagrada Familia. With support from its visitors, and especially from the Catalan people, the dream that has spanned the generations has come true. Once the vault of the church was completed, the most important milestone was undoubtedly its consecration as a minor basilica by the Holy Father Benedict XVI on November the 7th, 2010. From that moment on,
Before entering the basilica, you observe the apse from the outside. It's the first exterior element of the church that Gaudi completed, and it's an obviously Neo-gothic style. Antoni Gaudí is buried in the crypt under the apse. The interior of the apse is made up of 7 chapels joined by an ambulatory. Look closely once again at the splendid work of stained glass window artist Joan Villar. These stained glass windows are dedicated to the advent of the Messiah, who is invoked by 7 different names. The basalt columns that form the triumphal arch of the presbytery, or sanctuary, are dedicated to the saints Peter and Paul. The 4 porphyry columns that make up the transept are dedicated to the 4 evangelists and are decorated with their symbols. Over the altar, in the presbytery, hangs a crucified Christ. It's inspired by the one made by Lozano, a sculptor who collaborated with Gaudi on the altar at Cathedral. Further up, a canopy made of copper, glass and white wood recalls the one made by Gaudi for the Cathedral of Mallorca. Here, a Mediterranean vine blends with the symbolic and liturgical element of bread and wine. This space is what gives sense to the church, to everything you've seen up to now, and everything you'll see shortly. Whatever your beliefs, we invite you to join in the mood of meditation prevailing here. Remove your earphones, sit down, and leave your daily hustle and bustle behind. Grant yourselves a few minutes of introspection. And if you're a believer, remember that the purpose of this space is to encourage prayer. When you're ready to continue, press the green button.
The Sagrada Familia has 3 facades, dedicated to the Nativity, the Passion of Christ, and the Glory. The facade in front of you is the Passion facade. It depicts Jesus' final days, his crucifixion, and his resurrection and ascension. First, we'll look at the facade as a whole, and then...
The Church of the Sagrada Familia will be luminous. It will be the Church of harmonious light.
Gaudi's own words. And here his dream is close to coming true. During the day, large windows and perforated vaults draw in the Mediterranean light from the exterior. And when the sun sets, countless sources of artificial glass into a network of lead rods. To find out more about the chromatic and symbolic schemes while enjoying the light and play of colour that Gaudi imagined, press the green button. To continue your tour of the naves, go to stopping point 5, just a little further along. The maximum length of the church, from what will be the main entrance to the end of the apse, is 90 metres. The width, at the foot of the cross, is half of that, 45 metres. The arms of the cross are 60 metres long, and exactly half as wide, 30 metres. The ratio between 60 and 90, and between 30 and 45, is the same, 2/3. Other regular yet far less obvious proportions are those.
This, according to the floor plans, is to be the main entrance of the church.
The church of La Sagrada Familia will be luminous. It will be the church of harmonious light.
Gaudi's own words. And here his dream is close to coming true. During the day, large windows and perforated vaults draw in the Mediterranean light from the exterior. And when the sun sets, countless sources of artificial light illuminate the interior of the church. But Gaudi also warned,
In the lighting of churches, there is a misunderstanding that an abundance of light is a positive element. That is not so. The light should be just right, neither too much nor too little, since both things blind, and the blind cannot see.
The architect's obsession with regulating the light, instead of just letting it stream in, brought about the application of what we could call a chromatic scheme, in addition to the iconographic and symbolic schemes present throughout the church. The creator of these stained glass windows is Joan Villar, born and bred in Barcelona. He's been in charge of interpreting Gaudi's instructions on the stained glass windows of the Sagrada Familia.
As you'll have realised by now, Gaudi's work leaves no one indifferent. A major exponent of the Modernisme movement, he was an outstanding Catalan architect and a key figure on the international modern art scene. Nature was one of his great inspirations. He observed it closely from childhood and tried to convert what he discovered about its forms into architecture and geometry. The tree-like columns of La Sagrada Familia are a good example of this. The vaults themselves offer further examples of Gaudi's creativity. As with the rest of the church, he used models in their design. In place of the traditional ribbing characteristic of the Gothic style, he instituted hyperbolic and parabolic vaults, whose shape recalls the neck of a bottle. They weigh far less and let in the light, as you can appreciate if you... Before entering the basilica, you observe the apse from the outside. It's the first exterior element of the church that Gaudi completed, and it's an obviously Neo-gothic style. As you'll have realised by now, Gaudi's work leaves no one indifferent. A major exponent of the Modernisme movement, he was an outstanding Catalan architect and a key figure on the international modern art scene. Nature was one of his great inspirations. He observed it closely from childhood and tried to convert what he discovered about its forms into architecture and geometry. Before La Sagrada Familia, cloisters were traditionally located on just one side of monasteries and cathedrals. But Gaudi, intending to recover the original meaning of the word cloister, which is closed, designed the cloister here to run around the full perimeter of the church.
A final gem to end our tour. one of Gaudi's most important works. It's a simple construction that's nevertheless a genuine architectural wonder.
A shape, the building can be held up with two walls just 10 centimeters thick.
오, 잘했다 완전.